What kind of crazy thing would a person do that could lead to such a horrific death? Is the question we ask ourselves after hearing about El Chapo's son, Edgar Guzman Lopez's death. Let us first talk about Edgar Guzman before moving on to further discuss his death. Edgar Guzman Lopez, often referred to as El Chapo's son, indeed seemed destined to inherit his father's criminal empire. Born into the notorious Guzman family, he was prepared to take over the controls after the eventual downfall or retirement of his father, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. Edgar's life, however, followed a path that would be both famous and tragically short-lived. From a young age, Edgar was exposed to the inner workings of his father's cartel, learning the complexities of the drug trade and the importance of loyalty and ruthlessness in their world. Yet, opposite to the stereotypical image of a drug lord's heir, Edgar was also provided with access to top-tier education. He attended renowned schools both in Mexico and abroad, where he excelled academically and demonstrated a sharp intelligence. His education wasn't solely focused on academics. He also received extensive training in self-defense and security tactics, essential skills for someone expected to navigate the dangerous landscape of the drug cartel. This combination of book smarts and street knowledge made him stand out among his competitors as the natural successor to El Chapo's legacy. Yet, in the world of narco-trafficking, education doesn't always shield you from the brutal realities of life. However, Edgar's promising future took a tragic turn on a quite ordinary day. It was Mother's Day, a time when families across Mexico gathered to celebrate the women who held their households together. Edgar, like many others, went out to buy gifts for his mother. Little did he know that this routine outing would be his last. As Guzman and his friend Arturo Meza Cazares, along with his cousin Cesar Ariel Loera, left the mall, moving towards their car, a group of people rushed towards them and shot around 500 bullets at point-blank range, ending the life of the next predecessor to El Chapo's empire. The men that attacked them were in full body armor, ranging from bulletproof vests to even rocket launchers, so you know they weren't just some little street gangsters. These were the real deal. But here is the main question: who would do such a horrendous act to the son of the guy who melts the bodies of his enemies? Unbelievably, there are still 3 possible outcomes from this that have not been confirmed as to who actually was involved in the killing of Edgar. The first and most believed blame was on the Juarez cartel. The motives behind this act could have been various. Firstly, it may have been driven by a desire to weaken the Sinaloa cartel, to which El Chapo belonged, in order to assert dominance and control over successful drug trafficking routes. But doing that to a cartel with this much power and fear would be straight-up stupidity. Additionally, personal vendettas and long-standing rivalries between rival groups could have played a role, as tensions between the Sinaloa and Juarez cartels have a history dating back to when they were initially partners. Initially, both cartels cooperated, especially in the 1980s, to facilitate drug trafficking into the United States. However, as their power grew, conflicts over territories and drug routes escalated, leading to violent confrontations. The Juarez cartel, based primarily in the city of Ciudad Juarez along the US-Mexico border, established itself as a formidable force with operations extending throughout northern Mexico. However, Edgar's wife destroyed the illusion of simplicity, arguing that the Beltran-Leyva brothers, longtime adversaries of El Chapo, orchestrated the hit. The Beltran-Leyva brothers' violent relationship with El Chapo Guzman comes from a complex web of alliances, betrayals, and power struggles within the Mexican drug trafficking world. Originally, the Beltran-Leyva brothers, Hector, Arturo, Alfredo, and Carlos, were close associates of El Chapo, operating as part of his Sinaloa cartel. However, tensions arose between them, leading to a split and a bitter rivalry. One of the primary reasons for the division was a believed betrayal by El Chapo, who allegedly handed over Alfredo Beltran-Leyva to authorities in 2008. This act deepened the hatred between the two groups, sparking a violent conflict that claimed numerous lives on both sides. The motive behind the alleged assassination of Edgar Guzman Lopez, El Chapo's son, by the Beltran-Leyva brothers likely comes from this long-standing rivalry. By targeting a member of El Chapo's family, they aimed to strike a devastating blow to his organization's morale and authority. Additionally, such an act could be seen as a message of opposition and revenge against El Chapo's perceived betrayal and the ongoing power struggle between the two criminal factions. Moreover, in the world of organized crime, eliminating rivals and their associates is a common tactic used to assert dominance, consolidate power, and settle scores. The Beltran-Leyva brothers may have viewed Edgar Guzman Lopez as a strategic target, whose death would weaken El Chapo's grip on the drug trade and further their own interests. But the theory that has caused the greatest controversy and confusion regarding Guzman's death is, it was said that Edgar's death, initially thought of as a calculated strike against the Guzman family, was in fact the result of a tragic error. Amidst the chaos of underworld politics, a group of El Chapo's men had been tasked with eliminating the Beltran Leyva brothers, rivals of the Guzman clan. However, in a horrific twist of fate, their carefully laid plans went disastrously wrong. In the darkness of the night, as they moved to execute their mission, a series of missteps led them to the wrong target. Instead of their intended victims, the gunmen found themselves face to face with Edgar Guzman, the son of their own boss. In a moment of confusion and panic, shots were fired, and Edgar fell, a victim of mistaken identity. The shock and horror that followed were palpable. As the henchmen realized the gravity of their mistake, the realization of what they had done sank in. The son of their feared leader, El Chapo, lay lifeless before them, an unintended casualty of their unsuccessful operation. In the aftermath, whispers of betrayal and internal conflict echoed through the criminal underworld. El Chapo, devastated by the loss of his beloved son, was said to be consumed by grief and rage. The unintended consequences of his own scheme had torn his family apart, leaving him to deal with the weight of his actions and the tragic loss of his heir. All of these scenarios, though, make sense from their own perspectives. However, Guzman's passing was devastating for his parents, as well as his brothers and friends. Edgar Guzman Lopez, his name rang out across Mexico and beyond, not for his achievements, but for the tragedy that awaited him. He was born into privilege, with all the advantages money could buy, yet he couldn't shake the shadow of his family's infamous reputation in the drug trade. On his final day, Edgar found himself caught in a spiral of danger and uncertainty, a tale that could have been ripped from a Hollywood thriller. From the luxurious trappings of his upbringing, he sank into the dark underside of the narco world. It was a world where alliances shifted like sand, and betrayal lurked around every corner. As the sun set on his last day, gunfire broke out, echoing through the streets like a depressing symphony of violence. Edgar, despite his connections and education, couldn't escape the fate that so many in his family had met before him. It was a stark reminder that, in this ruthless game of power and money, no one is truly safe. His death sent shockwaves through Mexico, serving as a chilling reminder of the grim reality of organized crime. Regardless of his upbringing or level of education, Edgar's fate was predestined by the choices he made and the surroundings he chose to live in. In the end, his legacy was not one of glory or success, but of caution and warning. His story serves as a painful reminder of the high price of power and the unforgiving grip of destiny in the violent world of narco-trafficking.
Date vuelta, Chaparro. Tranquilo. Tranquilo, Chaparro. Tranquilo. Tranquilo. Tranquilo, Chaparro. Tranquilo.
Make sure to like and subscribe. Until next time.